Hello, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to the Originals After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we're going to be breaking down Season 5, Episode 3, titled, bear with me guys, No Me Quitte, which means Do Not Leave Me. Klaus really doesn't want Elijah to leave him. We have this awesome, sexy new character. And guys, where the heck is Hayley? We have a lot to talk about. It's going to be a good one, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello. AfterBuzzers. That was amazing. Thank you so much again for tuning in to the Originals After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. I am your host, Sam Davidson. As you can see, Tiana and Roxy are no longer with us. I ate them for dinner. I'm so sorry. If you're a fan of our after show, it's an inside joke. But yes, they will be back. Don't worry. Don't be too upset. I have a great friend and another awesome host here at AfterBuzz who's a huge fan of the show, Drew Jones.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And she's going to take over Tiana's chat mistressing.
Yes, talk
for
to me.
the week. So talk to her, welcome her with open arms. We were really excited, me, Tiana, and Roxy, for an Elijah-centric episode because, you know, did he just wake up one day and go, I want blood, right? We got answers. What did you think overall about the episode?
First of all, Elijah's my favorite. So
Really?
I was like, as soon as I was reading the caption, like, oh, it's going to be about Elijah, I was like, yes, thank you. But it was nice to know what he's been up to this entire time because we've kind of seen what everyone else has been doing. So I'm glad that we finally saw a breakdown of what he's been up to.
Me too. I got a little confused about where and when everything was, so I watched it twice. I think I've mostly figured it out. You know, we have New York a little bit, and then we have this town in France, all that good stuff. I thought it was great. I really liked that they kind of didn't give us any more questions. We already have enough questions, and we have answers. And Elijah, man, he deserves love and happiness, right?
He does.
But it's just, I was thinking too, strategically, I go, when could they ever get love and happiness? Would it be the afterlife? Because there's just no freaking way he's gonna have long-term love and happiness. I don't know. That's just what I think. I'd love to know what you guys think in the chat as far as if this whole thing about him parting ways with the family is gonna last. So I love the scene when we came back, the first scene, and he gets off the bus very confused and reminded me a lot of the Vampire Diaries. There was, I think, several scenes. It might have been a Stefan scene, or there was Damon scenes too, where someone got off the bus and, you know, someone's trying to help them and they're just like, I need food. Elijah tries to get pork rinds from the vending machine, which I was like, dude, old Elijah would never eat that crap. Never. And I hate it when their victims are nice.
I think too. I was actually worried that the bus driver was going to be the one to go. And I was like, you better close that door real quick, girl. Like, just go. But I was bummed that it was the nice little gas attendant. But I also was wondering, like, how much of his... I didn't know at first how much of his memory had been wiped away. And I was like, you don't even remember that you're a vampire? Mm-hmm. Like, that's unfortunate.
I mean, yeah, he's extremely confused. And he ends up killing this dude and who's trying to help him. And there's a couple parallels I'm interested to hear if you picked up on them. And maybe I'm crazy. I'm Jewish. I don't know a lot about Jesus. But there was two references to Jesus in this episode.
Yeah.
In regards to Elijah. So it was, the first one was when he gets in the guy's car, the truck that he steals from him after he murders him. And what is it? A Jesus bobblehead or, you know, there's this music, I love Jesus music. And then at the end, which we'll get to, as he's burning, he had his arms out like he was on the cross.
Yeah.
So,
I peeped that too. I was wondering if it was kind of like the concept of him being reborn and, like, you know, Jesus rose from the dead,
right,
or whatever,
which is Easter, right?
Yeah. So I felt like it was like symbolic of like the rebirth of Elijah, the death of old, like, Elijah Mikaelson, and the rebirth of like this new happy in love Elijah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this woman that he meets, Antoinette. She looks familiar to me, but I'm not exactly sure why.
She just looks like a lot of the Vampire Diary booty calls that we've had throughout the years, but she like has something special about her. But I knew from the get-go that she recognized him.
You did? Because I wasn't sure at first, and she did a few things along the way that no smart vampire that knew what an original was would do. But do you think it kind of was a love at first sight thing? And do you think that she really does have pure intentions? I mean, this is a 7-year span of time.
Yeah.
In this one episode.
I think she does have pure intentions. I think she knew who he was, but instantly peeped that he obviously didn't know who he was.
Right.
And so that's why she was comfortable doing those things that like most vampires wouldn't do in front of an original, because she was like, you don't know you're an original. But I think she has pure intentions. I think she's a purist. Like, she's just very simple. She does the vampire life at the way that we've known it to be, like in the myths and whatnot.
She would have been great for Stefan.
She would have been great for Stefan.
Yeah,
but
I really like it.
I like her, though.
Yeah, and so this new Elijah 2.0, he is different.
Yeah.
And I was reading an article online that, because I said when it came back, the first episode of the 5th season, Elijah's voice sounds different. He sounds more American to me. And Julie Plec did it on purpose, and so did the actor that played as Elijah, obviously, Daniel Gillies. He made his accent sound more American and less old-timey because he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And he is just a completely different person, I think. And he has a little bit of Klaus in him. Also, his violent streak. He decides he wants to take Antoinette on their first date. It kind of reminded me, you know those silent parties where people put headphones on?
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that for some reason, even though it wasn't silent. But the secret is that when it's time to go, you know, you just go to town.
Yeah. It definitely was. Yeah, I definitely see that comparison. It was weird because I just don't think that's so not Elijah. You know, he was always so, like, very well put together and old-fashioned. And, like, even when he was, like, changing his clothes and everything after he'd killed his first, like, victim, he, like, folded everything. And I was like, okay, he's still a little bit of Elijah.
Because even when someone's memory is wiped, they still have habits that are within them. And I think him being able to control his bloodlust, technically speaking, he's not a new vampire at all. So he will feed, but he isn't exactly having a hard time with losing control, even though the kind of immaturity, it's like a teenage vampire, you know, oh, let's go to a techno bleeder den. That's what it was, a techno bleeder den. And, you know, she didn't like it. It's not her way of life. I'm interested to know how long she's been alive or dead.
Yeah, because it's definitely been over 100 years, because she references things that, like, were like the recipe for that bread. She was talking about how that's over 100 years old, and she kind of talked about it in a way that almost as if she knew where it, like, originated. Yeah, like she was there for it. And she talks about, like, getting stoned in her village, and I'm like, okay, it's been a minute since people have done that. So.
Yeah, I hope so. But then what was she? Why did she get stoned? I still want to know. I want to know more about her, and I'm interested if we'll ever see her again. Do you think we will?
I hope so.
Because we got to know this character extremely well, and, you know, she's very endearing and does it. And I love the idea of compelling a victim before hurting them. It's a really kind thing to do. Yeah,
that's why I think that above anything else was what made me think she doesn't have, like, ill intentions. I think she really is just, like, a pure-hearted, like, this is the life that's been given to me. I'm no longer a part of this world, but I'm going to still try to, like, people didn't do me the service of letting me die peacefully, so I'm going to at least do that for others.
Yeah, you know, she wants to make the world a better place. And so does someone else that has an amazing podcast we'd love to talk to you about.
Yes, if you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life, we've got a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos podcast edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. That's tomorrow, guys. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who sent you there. Conversations with Maria Menounos podcast edition. Check it out.
Yes, I would definitely check it out. I think she could, you know, do some good work with poor Elijah there.
Yeah, Elijah could definitely.
He can use some help.
Yeah.
He definitely could. So we see Marcel come, and this is when I started to get confused as far as timeline goes. Is anything going on in the chat? What are bad stuff? What are they saying?
A lot of people like Elijah, the new Elijah.
The new Elijah?
Far. Yeah.
All right, Elijah 2.0. I like him too, but I also, this is the last season of our show, and I want him to be with his family.
I agree.
But Marcel finds him. So there's a 7-year span of time that Elijah has been gone total. When Marcel finds him and he's in New York, I'm just a little bit confused about what happened here. So was this 2 years after he was gone? Was it very quickly after he was gone? Because I think when he returns to Antoinette, she said something about 5 years. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I was trying to figure out the timeline on that too. Maybe you guys in the chat can help us out with that. It seemed like they met almost instantly after he separated from Marcel and like had his memory erased. And it seemed like they were together for a minute. And then he went off searching. I don't know. I really don't know the time. I was trying to figure out how long they'd been together.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't very long, I don't think. So let us know in the comments, in the chat. And they're in New York at this point. And Marcel comes and says he's getting too close to Hope, to everything, and that he needs to leave immediately. And I'm still I am, because was he with Rebekah at this point, obviously? And was he telling Rebekah he was going to go find Elijah? There's still a lot of questions, and I appreciated at the end of the episode when they said a certain amount of years later, or no, they said present day. They said present day, which made it a lot less confusing for me. But I love Marcel. I really do love him. And he tells him to leave, and then that's when this woman, Antoinette, decides this is too dangerous for her, but she did know. She knew what she was getting into. So it's just finally that she is like, these are originals, I need to run. And it's crap is hitting the fan, even though she knew it probably would, that the originals would come back for him, right? If she knew from the start.
Yeah, I feel like she probably knew on some level, but I think when you're attracted to somebody, sometimes you don't care as much, and they just kind of have one of those instant, really strong connections. So I feel like she knew, but it was almost like she didn't care. But then once it like got there, she was like, "Ooh,
yeah." She's like, "I'm just gonna let you, figure out yourself, figure out who you are." And she leaves, and he does. He does a lot of research because Marcel says Elijah, after he finds him at the techno bleeder den, just ripping everybody to shreds. And I don't know how he gets so much information off of the internet as far as Elijah and vampire. But, let's just suspension of disbelief.
There's vampire Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. We can't get too technical here because there are vampires. So he figures out who he is, and he still decides to go find Antoinette. And she's very happy to see him. This is the bar, I believe, or the restaurant, wherever, that Elijah is found playing the piano at the beginning of this season by Klaus. And timeline-wise, too, I'm a little bit confused when that was, as far as Klaus finding Elijah back in the day.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it must have just been in between. I think it was before this big showdown that we end up having with Antoinette and Elijah. So Elijah proposes with the most beautiful, beautiful ring. I loved it. And it was so sweet. And she goes to get champagne, doesn't even feel like she has to say yes or no. And Klaus is there. And so she knows right off the bat. Or does she know that this is Klaus? I think she knows he exists, but does she know that was him?
Yeah, I don't think she, knew that right there was Klaus.
Yeah, or else she would not have challenged him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like she's not stupid, but she doesn't really have a big care, I feel, for her well-being, because even so, she continues to challenge Klaus. So she goes back, he compels her, and she claims she's taking vervain all the time. I feel like I'm finding loopholes in these rules again, because originals can compel anybody vampire or not vampire, any
Yeah.
kind of mythical creature or whatever. I didn't really think that Vervain stopped them from doing that because they were originals and that trumps everything. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I feel like I remember kind of Vervain. I feel like I remember Vervain being something that they, because I feel like I remember Stefan like getting himself to take it so that he could be immune to Klaus, like back in Vampire Diary days.
okay. Yes, so back in because he did take Vervain for a specific reason, and he gave it to Elena. Obviously, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat.
It's been a minute since I've watched the Vampire Diary, so I'm like trying to remember, but I think Vervain was also something that would help them as well.
Yeah, and I mean, for her to secretly be taking that, she obviously didn't know that Elijah knew his past as well, and I wonder if she was ever planning on breaking it to him.
Yeah.
Or just waiting for the big bad hybrid to come.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily mad at her, though, if she never planned on telling him, because he obviously didn't. I mean, like, he wanted to know in the beginning, but now he obviously didn't want to know, and he seems so happy. And, like, he even says when he's talking to Klaus about, like, your brother, it was very dramatic for him to refer to him as in, like, third person almost. He's like, your brother is known for being miserable and, constantly being your northern star and like taking care of you and stuff. And so I'm sure she probably knew that too and was like, he seems happy. I'm not going to rain on his parade.
Yeah. I mean, what a catch, right? Fall in love, evil, original vampire. But it seems like they are a good match, and she's very strong. And I love what she did with the piano. I just thought it was a really fun, sweet, romantic, yet creepy part of the episode where she's trying to tell him what's going on as they're playing the piano. And yeah, I mean, the showdown, I think it was supposed to be heartbreaking. I didn't exactly feel that bad for Klaus.
I didn't either. The only person I was like nervous about this entire episode was Antoinette, because I liked her a lot, and Klaus does not care. Like, Klaus will kill whoever he feels he needs to kill. And so I was scared for him or for her, because like there were a lot of moments there where he could have easily just real quick ripped her heart out. But as far as like the showdown between him and Elijah, I just like, it didn't sell me.
Yeah, you can't really have quite an opinion on your life, whether you're leaving it or not, if you can't remember what happened to you. And Klaus throws in, this is about Hayley. We can't find her. My question is, why does he think finding Elijah is going to help find Hayley? The closer they get together, the more dangerous it is. I don't get why.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that either. Like, what would bring... Yeah, I don't... Because I also feel like right now, Elijah's kind of useless. He doesn't remember anything. If I had to go get another sibling, I'd go get, like, Rebekah.
Yeah.
Or even Cole. But I wouldn't go get Elijah because he doesn't remember anybody.
Well, it's almost like Klaus just wanted emotional support or something. And, I mean, snakes are already starting to come out as they get closer together. It's not going to help, and he can't remember anything, so why... I hope that they kind of clear that up, because in a way I think it was a big plot mess up.
Yeah, and I just don't want them to do... I loved the brother relationship on Vampire Diaries, like how at the end of the day, Stefan...
Yes.
Like, love for Damien is what, like, saved the day or whatever, rather than it being, like, Stefan and Elena or Elena and Damien. Like, it was Stefan and Damien. I don't want it to be... Damon. That's the new name. I just don't want it to be the same rundown for the originals.
Yeah, well, I really did feel like that is what they were going for in this, and that's not really what this show is about. This show is more about family as a whole and the group of family, and I get that these two brothers had something very special, but in my opinion, Stefan and Damon's relationship was far, far closer. One, because they were all each other had. There weren't any other siblings. Well, I mean, there was, but not really. And the only time they were really evil to each other was when they would turn their humanity off. And Klaus has done some really messed up stuff, while his humanity has still been very intact.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I get it. And Julie Plec, of course, is very heavily behind this season and this episode. And Joseph Morgan directed this episode. And he did a really good job. I do feel like they were maybe going for something that just reminds us a lot of the Vampire Diaries. But it's not that I didn't like this episode. I did. But I don't want it to have been almost a waste of an entire episode.
Yeah, I hope it plays into whatever the direction of this season's going.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't want it to be like this, cool, that's done. We're going to go jump into something completely different now.
Yeah, and I mean, for Klaus to take it that hard when he says, I don't want to be part of this family, I don't care, that he just calls Freya and says, you know, couldn't find it. He's so heartbroken that he shuns him. And it's just, you know, he doesn't remember. He did research, and anyone that would do research on your family is going to not want to be a part of it, right? I thought it was an interesting choice. I think it was a really cool episode, though, for Joseph Morgan to do specifically because he's an actor, and there's so much character work and a lot of character development and just build up. So I think for him, it was probably really fun to dig into that, especially with Elijah's character. And we didn't get anybody else this episode. We literally had essentially 4 characters in the episode. But of course, we still have to have our fiercest moment of the week.
Yes.
Fresh. I'm so reckless when I rock my Givenchy dress.
Thank you, Beyonce. Let's see. I love this song. I have one. My fiercest moment of the week was Antoinette when she stabs Klaus with a stake, knowing he's an original.
Yeah.
Might not be smart, but it was fierce.
It was very fierce. I don't know if this is a fierce character moment, but I think it was a fierce scene as far as how it was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
And the scene where Elijah has just like killed everybody in that little blood club.
Oh yeah.
And like the pan out of it, that whole thing was just very fierce to me because he's just like standing there like, and there's all these bodies. I was like, this is a cold shot.
Yeah.
So that's my fierce moment.
He looked really sexy and scary.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I completely agree. We also have some news and gossip that I'm going to be frank with you, I'm not that happy about.
Yeah, actually,
AfterBuzz TV News.
the chat's talking about some news and gossip too. But
Okay, cool. We'll start with ours because they probably know more than I do, but we at least know this is official that Phoebe Tonkin is not a series regular this season.
Boo.
Which makes me very scared and worried. I mean, she hasn't been in the past 2 episodes, so maybe she's just going to be kidnapped for a long time, and then finally they'll save her, and that's the reason she's not a series regular. I don't know why, schedule-wise or story-wise, if it's just a big story choice that Hope indeed does, in a way, have a hand in her mother's death. I'm not quite sure, but she's not a series regular, and there's not a lot of episodes, so I'm assuming we're only going to be getting her for a couple more episodes, and besides that, it's just going to be everybody else. Does anyone have any more about that in the chat, or any other news and gossip that they wanted to share with the world?
I was trying to find the exact comment, but Xavier Jones Jr. in the chat was saying that, what is his name in real life? Damon?
Ian
Ian Somerhalder got casted for a show on Netflix that has to do with vampires. So,
Yes.
very specific.
Staying in his lane.
Yeah.
You know? I guess you can appreciate that, right?
Yeah, I can't be mad at that.
Yeah. What do you think this write-off of Phoebe Tonkin could possibly be?
I was trying to think about it because, like, I follow her on Instagram, and I haven't really seen her filming anything, but I've seen her doing a lot more in fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, but that doesn't even make sense as to why she would not be a series regular unless she's, like, gonna die.
Yeah, I just don't think it'd be that hard to keep her on as a series regular for 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to be in every single episode to be a series regular.
That was my next question, is what qualifies someone to be a series regular? Like, how many is there a certain amount of episodes you have to be in? Is there a certain amount of like relevancy your character has to have?
That's a good question. And guys, sound off in the comments when you watch this and in the chat if you like, because it does differ on shows. There'll be people that are made series regular on one television show, yet they're only in, you know, about half of the episodes that season. I'm talking about you, Riverdale. So I'm not sure, but it excites me in a way because it means something big is going to happen. And if she's not a series regular, I know this is terrible, but I kind of do want her to die because I just don't want it to be, oh, we're just going to drag it out because, you know, our schedules didn't work. And I want it to be dramatic. If she's really not going to be on the show, then it better be for a dang good reason.
Yeah. Well, I do know that other shows have done the whole so-and-so's not a series regular to make you think something's going to happen to them. And then in the long run, they are a series regular. It's just to, like, get you to question, like, before season 4 of The Flash came out, they were kind of like acting like Candace Patton wasn't going to be a series regular because like it had been known that her character was supposedly going to die at some point in the season, and then it just ended up she was fine. Like it was just them like they just like allowed rumors to float out so that people could question it.
Well, if that is the case, then shame on you, originals. On that note, let's get into some predictions for next week.
Oh man.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Do you want me to start? I'll start.
Yeah, I'm like really
Okay, so Hayley, we're going to find out, I think, some bad stuff about her next week. Maybe not necessarily that she's dead, but she's not doing well. And I do think that the other siblings are going to try to come together to help, but them coming together is just going to make the Hollow come out even more. And I think we're going to find out more about Henry's death and kind of go back to where we were last week, because this episode was a very self-sustained 1 week movie in a way. And I don't think that Elijah is going to be gone for good. You know, I think that though his rebirth, another question about Jesus. So when Jesus came back, didn't he save a bunch of people? Did he save people or no? Because he came back for a reason. So I'm thinking about if Elijah is reborn, if he is somehow going to be the one to save the day.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I...
Yeah, I don't really know anything about
open the
Judaism
good book.
either, so I'm just...
But I think he was only around for, like, a little bit. Like, he went and visited a bunch of people, was around for a little bit, and then, like, went back into heaven. It was like, peace.
I'd love to hear your guys' theories about this Elijah-Jesus comparison. Am I crazy, or did they just throw it in as a red herring to get people like me to start, you know, to get Jewish people going, wait, what was Easter again? Questioning what happened. But yeah, that's what I think. What about you?
It's really hard to, like, know what the originals, or, like, even the Vampire Diaries when they're on, like, where they're going to go with things, because they're so good at, like, completely making up something crazy, and you're like, I didn't see that coming. But I wonder if, and this is completely bonkers, but I wonder if somehow the Hollow, because they keep testing it and they keep getting close to each other, if somehow, like, a piece of it or, like, an essence of it escaped from somebody, and, like, that's what's in Hayley, and maybe Hayley's, like, going off the deep end and, like, not reacting to it well because she's not an original and her body can't handle it. So maybe, like, she is the bad entity right now. Like, maybe she is the bad guy.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
And, I mean, I think it's coming for Hope. It is.
Yeah.
Hope was scary, and I feel bad for her because she doesn't know how scary she really is. That's what I think. Please let us know what you guys think. Thank you so, so much for tuning in. Roxy will be back next week. I think it's going to be about 2 weeks before we get Tiana. But thank you so much for joining us this week, Drew.
Thanks for having me.
Where can everyone find you on social media?
You guys can find me on all the things at OKDrewJ.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43 and SamDavidsonEntertainment.com. Rate, review, subscribe. Tweet us, let us know your theories. We love hearing from you. And myself and Roxy will see you next week. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.